Make sure you watch it all the way through to the end because every single thing that they announced, we are going over right here, right now together. Apex just launched everything brand new. Everything is changing right now at Apex. So in this video, I'm going to break down every single thing that I know. Thank you so much for making sure we had this kind of information and talk about what is to come, what I honestly think, and if Apex is a contender for me to still kind of accomplish my 2026 goal of reaching $1 million payout. So for those of you guys who don't know me, my name is Jenny Baker and I'm the six-figure trading coach. And here we go. Welcome to the all new Apex. You guys, if you're logging into Apex right now over this weekend, which is kind of the first weekend of March, everything is different. It's exciting, right? But it's also kind of terrifying. They have launched completely now no payout denials, no payout reviews, all completely automated, no more hands touching it. Of course, they're going to have some human hands monitoring some of the things up front, but after a while here, it's going to be completely automatic, all streamlined, which is something that we know people hate. But this is really it. This is the breakdown. And line by line by line, I'm going to go over every single thing that we know, what I honestly think, how it affects what I'm trying to build. Because as you guys know, I've been working on this, right? Which is my goal is to reach this kind of a payout. Obviously, getting these kind of results over this time period is not the end of the world. Now, maintaining that and achieving payout without kind of having these blow up kind of days, this was not my best performance month, but it's not as black and white, right? There's a lot of other things that go into it. So without further ado, let's take a look and talk about what these changes are. Obviously, number one, they're launching brand new accounts. They're going to have end of day drawdown accounts. We know people have wanted that. People are going to love that, right? No payout denials, people are going to love that. No payout reviews, people are going to love that. No MAE rules, people are going to love that. I only ran into that once, so I don't think it's a huge deal for me. No 5-to-1 risk to reward rule. Okay, read a lot about it, but never really ran into it too much. So again, one of those things. Built-in scaling, and of course, no more of that 30% consistency rule. Now it's 50%. Complete, easy, streamlined. There is no subjectivity. A lot of the things people loved about Apex are obviously the cheap evals, the kind of being able to have 20 of them, huge payouts. But these are the things people griped about, that things were obscure, things were unclear. It took a lot of understanding. So Apex came in, they said they wanted to be the biggest, the best, and they're honestly doing it. And for that, I super commend them. I think they're doing a phenomenal job. But let's talk about each and every one of these things. First and foremost, their goal is to keep everything according to their core values, right? Want everything completely simple, black and white, nothing obscure, no arbitrary, no hidden, nothing, no fine print. And of course, I think they've done that. So I think they've accomplished what they set out to do. Now it's going to be a matter of whether or not people like all of these things that are going to kind of be new to the people who finally made it and got good at Apex. So I think right here is a good time to say, I set out on this prop firm journey a year ago or so, all new kind of platforms, prop firms, never had traded them. And it's hard, right? There's a lot of things you don't know. Plus you add in copy software, which has its own set of difficulties and challenges that go into that. But I'm not going to fib when I say Apex seemed impossible for me at first. But once I got it, man, I got it based off of those older rules. So this is going to be interesting even for somebody like me. But let's break them all down one by one. First and foremost, for those of us who are wondering, I definitely needed to know this. All legacy products are still going to be there. So meaning if you have PAs or you have any evals and you want to keep those rules, definitely keep them on auto build. Definitely you guys can reset them. All of those legacy accounts will stay legacy accounts. Your PA accounts stay the same way. New accounts have new rules, right? I have to give them a whole bunch of credit. Like for all of this, the stuff I like and the stuff I don't like, I have to give a lot of credit to Apex because what did other firms do to us? They said, hey, look, here's a new set of rules retroactively. You're starting today. And that's just bad business. So I love how Apex did this in terms of everybody who signed in with these agreements, keep these agreements. Anybody who wants these other agreements, when you buy a new account, this is what these new things come out to be. So kind of cool. Again, everything from your legacy products, they all stay the same. There are no changes there. That I think is huge. They do a great job there. And of course, anything new is going to be on the new stuff. So you can be passed and converted. So legacy evaluation accounts are not impacted, still remain on reoccurring billing. It can be reset, can be passed and converted to legacy PAs. So that means any of my evals I get to keep on the old plan. So I'm kind of in love with that. That gives me a little bit more peace of mind. And as you guys go through the rest of this information, I think you're going to see that too. End of day evaluations. People are going to love this, right? I don't care as much about it. I kind of got good at the whole intraday trailing drawdown. Not perfect. I still have my superhuman behavior, but here you go. Remember, before we forget about these prices, one of the core things they wanted to maintain was being able to maintain that kind of 80, 90, large percentages off. Don't forget to use code 6FTC whenever you're buying a challenge with any of these firms, but I think that's awesome. So figure you're going to still be paying that 20 to 30, 40 bucks for that kind of smaller evaluation. Those prices are going to be about the same for end of day and or intraday trailing drawdown. Obviously, end of day is going to be a little bit more expensive, a couple bucks. That price exactly, depending on whether it's an 80 or 90%, is going to kind of remain to be seen. But here's the real kicker. This is where everything starts to get a little wiggly and woggly. Number one, and I don't think any bit of the information that's been released so far, anyone's been talking about it, technically the trailing drawdown has decreased a bit, and I think we need to pay attention to that. So before we had 2,500, now we've got 3,000, so that is kind of a difference. 25Ks had 1,500 and 1,500. You've kind of lost a little bit of that max trailing drawdown rule, so you got to trade a little bit differently. They've also decreased a little bit of those max contracts, so I think that would be good. I've never really hit those anyways, but I think for people hitting those, I think that's going to definitely cut down on some of the gamblers and the crazy things, because this is a great time to say, remember, whether or not we like or hate these rules, we need Apex to stay afloat and solvent if we want to continue to trade with them for years to come. And that's my goal, right? My goal is to get to that 7-figure payout. I likely am going to need Apex to do it because they're the only ones that allow the 20 accounts. So if we want their company to stay standing and stay just in a good place, we need them to kind of have a business model that supports that. So if they can get rid of some of those gamblers and stuff, I think we're going to be in a much better position. Anyways, so that's going to be pretty big. The max drilling showdown is a little bit less. Daily loss limit. Now this one is the one that I'm going to talk more about at the end. The only accounts I've been avoiding lately, because I've gotten a little bit better at kind of not just only passing them but getting payouts. The only accounts I've been avoiding at any of the firms are the ones with the daily loss limit. So this was a big kicker for me, and I'm going to talk more about that when we talk about the PA daily loss limits, because that's really what the big deal is. So I'm hoping I get some more clarity. I will have an email out to them today, because if I have a lot of drawdown, that daily loss limit is kind of not a fun place to be. So that's really the only thing I really can't stand. Everything else seems to be pretty good. Max contracts, as you can see, are a little bit decreased. Access period is 30 days. No more rebills, okay? No consistency issues, no scaling issues. Every single thing is automatic. So I think people are going to really love that. So that's end of day evaluations. Intraday, there's a little bit of a difference. The max contracts, again, are decreased. Trailing drawdown, which we never had before. And of course, the profit targets are about the same on all of these accounts. They are the same. So you're going to see that the intraday are going to be slightly cheaper by a couple bucks, especially if we're using the 80, 90% off. Don't forget, use code 6FTC. But that's going to be kind of cool. So what's next? When you log in and you click on any of these little question marks or blue buttons, they said you're going to be able to kind of figure out what each of these means. So to give you an idea, everything is going to be super clear. There's a lot of new things that got rolled out this weekend, and of course there's going to be more rolled out in the next couple of weeks, so please stay tuned, including, dun, 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 I should do a drum roll, bundle buys. I don't know about you, but I know I've been in there, click, 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 to try to get one eval. Click, 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 to try to get the next eval 20 times, right? And I'm not necessarily trading on 20 accounts right now, but you guys get the idea. That is a long process. So for them to be able to have bundle pricing, like you can buy 4 or 5 of them at once, that's fantastic. And don't quote me to this, but the rumor has it is you're going to get your 80% off and then a slightly even bigger discount if you're going to buy them in bundling when they launch that in the next couple of weeks. Because again, the limitation for them not being able to do that was the rebills. So now since there's no rebills, you can just go in there, click 5, and then, buy 5 at a time. So that's going to be a nice little time saver for my monthly time allotment for trading, which is kind of cool. But as you guys can see, everything is very clear. There is nothing obscure anymore. People cannot say that they don't know what they don't know, because it's all on here. You're going to know your max contracts, you're going to know your profit, your drawdown, your daily loss limit, every single thing that you wanted to know, you're going to have it. And of course, one-time billing, no rebills, no have to go in there and resetting things because those rebills, the price is too high. So anything that I did fail in general, which I don't have as many of those accounts these days, but I do still have some of those that got blown up for dumb reasons. Honestly, I have to go in there and cancel them because I'm not paying that much for, an eval. So that's also going to be a huge time saver. And I think Apex did really good at that, making sure they're staying true to their core focus. So that's kind of cool. Now onto the performance account. Again, when you click on the performance account stuff, you're going to be able to kind of figure out what each of these things mean. Now this is going to be huge. If you look right here, I'm just going to skip everything else because the only part that we really care about right here is the payout frequency. Guys, no more 8 days. And I don't know about you, but 8 days, which is slightly higher than industry standard, honestly, I think it slowed me down quite a bit because I wasn't trying to get a payout on Friday. But man, this is going to be huge for a lot of people. So 5 trading day frequency changes everything. Now wait, there's more. There's so much more. There's a lot here. So please, again, forgive the length of this video, but make sure you watch it all the way through to the end because every single thing that they announced, we are going over right here, right now together. Payout frequency, 5 days. Activation time frame. This is different too. From my understanding, you had like 30 days or a long time as long as you kept the rebill, but you only have 7 days from the time you passed it to go ahead and activate it now. So that is different. Another huge thing is the cheaper activation fee. So I don't know about you guys, but the activation fee was my biggest expense, right? What's the point in passing them and then going to pay this $129, $149 activation fee? That sucks a lot. So I am stupid excited about this. I think, again, Apex did a phenomenal job decreasing that just enough. They did mention that maybe the bigger accounts don't stay at 79. I'm hoping that they do. I think that would just make this second to none, but we'll see over time what that equals. We will definitely see. So $79 activation fee, that's huge. 5 days is how long you have to wait for payout frequency. That's huge. Again, they have minimized the contracts you're allowed to be trading. This is based off of a 50K right here. It automatically scales how much. Max drawdown is a little bit less. Live drawdown type, and I can't wait to show that one because that's the one that's has me kind of on edge. Consistency rule, 50%, no longer 30, which is kind of cool. Payout split, they really wanted to maintain the 100% payout, which is no other firm does. And again, I'm speaking for myself, but it really sucks to go hit a $2,000 withdrawal and then you're like, oh wait, you're only getting $1,600 or $1,500 after all the fees and everything said and done. It's like $1,500, $1,600 depending on the firm. So it doesn't seem like much, but spread out over a lot of accounts, what should be yielding $30,000, well, let's say I've got $36,000 in withdrawals, the difference in that is 8 to 10 grand a month. Like that's a lot of money. When you think about it dollar for dollar for dollar, again, I think they did a good job trying to stay true to their core values because he said, look, he doesn't want people to have to go in there and trade 2,000, 2,000, and 2,000, because you've got to pass and then get the PA. Because think about it, that's like a 40-60 split, 60 on their end in terms of the eval to the PA of how much you have to make, and then give them a percentage on top of that. That's kind of huge. So I love that they're keeping the 100%. Max payout request is 6, and this is going to be huge too. So again, there's a lot of information to go over. Let's talk about scaling and daily loss limits. Scaling is going to be built in automatically. Again, I'm not too worried about that. I have my own methods and kind of trying to work on under risking. I am not perfect. But the daily loss limits, this, guys, this right here, a $1,200 daily loss limit once you have $2,000 and up. This is based off of your evals, is not very large. So this is going to be kind of a huge deal, I think, for most of us. I definitely know for me, it's going to be pretty big. On your 50K accounts, once you have, let's say, $6,000 of profit, you can only still risk $3,000, which I mean, figure is 50% if you have only the 6. But what if you've built this account up to, let's say, you've got $20,000 in equity there? You're still only allowed to utilize $3,000 of that? That's kind of sucky. This, honestly, for all the stuff I'm getting ready to go over, this is the only part that has me second guessing, hey, is it possible to kind of do this part right here? All right, the one PA account that ends in 118, as you guys can see there on the top right of the screen, that I've been showing now for quite a while. I've had this account since December. I have got my first denial, I think, in January, and then I think that just messed with my head. And then, of course, I had a nice big red day. But overall, this is one account, to give you an idea. I think I currently have over $63,000 in profit. I've taken out like $15,000. Mind you, this is never going to be exact, but this is about what it looks like, right, on average. So you can see that as the days go on, that's the month of January, I'm averaging, $4,000 to $5,000 a day in this account, mostly because, and of course we have the lower day to play with, but I can kind of just build this up. This was I was traveling in Spain day. Please ignore this one. But how am I going to accomplish this now with this new rule that we have here? This is the 150K, well, 25 and 50K accounts. Let's go here real quick. and show you what this looks like. So that account, for example, is a 150K account. Even if I have $10,000 and up, I only get to play with 4,000 of that. And that's just going to change quite a bit about what I'm trying to do. So again, I still think it's possible to hit my $1 million goal, but I'm probably going to have to rethink it of how I'm going to go about it. So this one part is the biggest part that I want to write them and say, hey, look, is there ever a time where you don't have that? Like where maybe you have your 50%, that you're allowed to use 50% of the account or something, because this is going to be huge. I know it's going to stop the gamblers and stuff, true, but also for me to just be able to trade as if I have the room that I have, this is going to be, this is the part that I'm stuck on, but we'll get back to that. So end of day PA accounts, this is kind of cool. One-time activation fee. Notice how the end of day PA accounts are going to have a not much, but a little bit higher activation fee. I kind of like that because, again, I got pretty comfortable with the intraday. So I don't mind get rewarded for that and save a little bit of money. I don't know that I would necessarily choose this account. I'm not saying I wouldn't, but I'd probably still be leaning to the intraday and just save the dollars because this is not how I'm trading so much that it matters as much. But maybe with the consistency rule, I will have to come back and revisit that. So again, daily loss limit tier-based, yes. Consistency rule, only 50%. Payout split is 100%. And now again, I'm going to preface this 6 payout maximum. This had me a little bit in a tizzy. I was like, okay, I want clarity on this. I want to know things. And I was really excited to kind of get to the end of all this to learn what that actually means. Because a lot of people are saying, hey, you get kicked off Apex, you get kicked off Apex. Well, that's not the case. They got this whole new system rolling out. So intraday PA accounts, you can notice first and foremost, the one-time activation fee is a little bit cheaper, right? Max drawdown, 1,000, 2,000, 3, and 4. That's the intraday drawdown scaling. Of course, that's going to happen automatically, all computer generated, nothing for us to do there. Max contracts is 10. Of course, it will scale up to that. Daily loss limit tier based. Ugh, I just want that part gone. Yes, yes, and yes. Consistency rule is only 50%. Payout, again, you get 100%, and then you get a max of 6 payouts. So now let's talk about the payouts. The thing that they wanted to do was, again, keep their core values. So 5 trading days, people are going to love that. No more denials, people are going to love that because then you're not feeling the same ick that you feel when you request from Apex. Because like if I request from Lucid or Trade Day, again, use code 6FTC, I'm going to get that money like pretty quick, right? Sometimes that day, sometimes if I request it at an odd time, it might be the next day, but I get that money pretty quick, like literally that day. And even if I don't, if let's say it's requested on a Friday and I had to wait till Monday because it's just how the system worked, the truth is I'm not worried about am I going to get approved or is it going to get denied or what are they thinking and feeling. I just know it's coming in the next few days, right? So I think that's what they're kind of going for. No more payout reviews from human eyes, no video reviews, no chart screens needed, screenshots needed, no, just payout with confidence, no surprises, no treatment, all under the same rule. I think that's kind of cool. So they have officially accomplished this goal. Their goal is when you go to click on the payouts, all it's going to say is something along these lines. PA trading rules. Did you adhere to these rules? It's not going to be obscure. It's not going to be this long-winded 18-page super wordy thing. It'll give you one little list, which I'm going to click on next, and then don't reach your max drawdown. That's it. And then you, of course, get your payout, right? That's it. Those prohibited items are going to look like this, hedging, right? I really hope they put something in place to kind of protect people like me who's using copy trading because, I mean, obviously, if it's a rule I'm breaking, I fix it to the best of my ability, but that's not something I'm doing intentionally. It's something that's happening with the copy trading system over time. So hopefully we can find a fix there or the copy trading companies can do better there, but we'll see what that is. That's on my plate, unfortunately. High frequency trading, of course, is blocked at most firms employing trade copy services. That means you're using one of those, hey, we're going to pay $500 or $600 a month and they're keeping a percentage. That's technically against the rules, guys. If you're subscribing with any of those companies, and I know there's a couple of them, quite a few of them, who are charging people a lot of money to do that, you're technically breaking most of these firms' rules. So I just want you to know that if and when you get caught, you could technically be liable for those payouts, right? So please keep that in mind if you're breaking those rules. Unsustainable strategies, that I will say is a little vague. Manipulation of stimulated trading environment, we already read about that on the CME stuff. Unauthorized users, meaning like you can't have people logging in for you. And of course, the rest of this is all pretty common. Don't hold your trades past market close, max 20 accounts at a time, and don't create multiple accounts. Right? That's all pretty simple, okay? There's no way around that. Payouts. This is the big part. So They did kind of decrease that first payout a little bit. So as you can see, 25K account, 5 days minimum, end of day. Okay, you need to have that minimum daily profit of $100. And of course, your minimum daily profit for the live intraday PA, $100. Safety net, that's pretty common. Max payout 6. You'll notice that the minimum daily profit is a little higher. It used to be, again, I kept hating when people said, hey, just flip it for $50 a day. I was like, quit saying that because you're just making them mad. Well, you did make them mad, and now your minimum daily profit on a 25K account is 100. Your minimum daily profit on a 50K account is 250. And then, of course, your 100K accounts is 300, and your 150 accounts is 350. So this did go up a little bit, right? Obviously, it's a little bit different from intraday to live. You get a little bit more that you have to hit here on your end of day versus intraday. So that's going to be interesting, and the rest of this is pretty self-explanatory. So there is an increase on your minimum daily profit. Now, let's talk payouts. Up to weekly, okay? This is kind of what they wanted to do. Minimum payout amount is $500, 50% consistency, max 6 payouts per performance account, up to weekly payouts, payout at a glance. This is all black and white. So that's what they're trying to work toward, right? Is everything payout related is completely black and white. Great. Well, now here's what this looks like. Payout 1 through 6, you're going to notice they technically decreased the amount you can withdraw on the 50K accounts. That's the one most people use. It is now only $1,500 on that first payout. You'll notice on payout 2 for your end of day is still only $1,500, whereas on your intraday, it has now went up to the traditional $2,000, okay? You'll see this kind of tier up slowly. So the benefit is by the time you get to that 6th payout, you're actually getting a little bit more than you would have because the max this whole time was $2,000. But the downside is the first payout is typically a little bit less across the board. So if I go all the way now to the 150K accounts, you can see the intraday used to be $2,750, now it's $2,500. But payout 2 is $3,000, 3 is $3,000, 4 is 4, and then 5 is 4, and then of course the last one is 5. And then what happened? So I'm going to pause here real quick. I think dollar for dollar, this is going to feel different for people, and it's going to mess with their psychology, okay? But I don't think it's significantly worse, just so you guys all know, because again, doing the math, if we can maintain the accounts, which is the goal and should be the goal, you're technically getting more dollar for dollar by the time you get to that 6th payout. So the math says this is a better plan. It just might not feel like a better plan, especially if you're prone to blow it up on payout 1 or 2. So that's that. I actually kind of like this. I love it. Let's see what's next. After 6 payouts, and this again I think needs a drum roll, okay? After 6 payouts, as you guys have seen online, they've got Trader Kane, they've got Jade, they've got a couple other people that they're calling up to kind of maybe start trading live and doing some other things, which is exciting. I think they're trying to keep up with that side of the space. That, for me, and I'm starting to my personal bias here, is a little discouraging because I love that Apex wasn't jumping on the bandwagon of all the streaming and the this and the that, but honestly, it's where the money's at, so I get it. But they are. They've called up a lot of big-time traders, live traders, and that's what they say they're going to be doing here. So after 6 payouts, the account has been complete and graduated. What happens after that is still a little gray, okay? You're either going to be coded and transitioned to a potential live account, or you're going to be allowed to continue kind of trading it and kind of coded for no more sims, right? It really depends from what they're saying. And again, this is a little gray area, so give them a little bit of grace. But it depends on if you have one account, right, and you just happen to get to that 6 on that one account, or let's say you have all 20 accounts and you've demonstrated this for a long period of time. It's going to be based off of performance, how many accounts, and I'm sure a whole host of other factors, right? I'm sure they are going to be looking at your data to determine, wait, can you just kind of keep trading that for a little bit longer? You need a little more time before you get moved to live, or do you just get no more sims, right? A lot of this is going to be determined by all different kinds of things. So I'm going to still keep this as a gray area, and I hope that they define this a little bit more clearly. I know that other firms are kind of making this very black and white, and I guess I'm going to say I do have a certain level of respect for the fact that they're not making this like completely hard line, because there are some other circumstances, right? Getting moved to live on your one account when you could have been trading 20, a little bit different. So it just hits different, like if you get forced to kind of move to live on Top Step or Tradeify or whatever else, and then now you're just in this crappy position. So I like this tentatively. We'll see. So back to my purpose here, right? I wanted to do this video just kind of update every single thing else. Now, the real question is, do I think that I'm still going to be able to kind of hit my goals of what I'm trying to accomplish there with Apex? And for that, we're going to bring up this handy dandy calculator. So we know, you guys, that if we make $4,000, okay, times approximately 250 trading days, that's your $1,000,000. Okay, that's on one account. So what I'm thinking, kind of going over the math in my head, is of course I can maintain this one account, just kind of hitting that goal, using up all that kind of $63,000 in equity that I currently have in there. Looks something like this, okay? This is that same account. Right now it's sitting at $63,000. I've withdrawn maybe 15,000-ish. Remember, there's fees and other things in and out. Here's the deal. I can technically accomplish my goal with just that one account. And of course, I've got a couple of other of the old legacy products that won't be limited by that daily loss limit, that maybe it will be easier to kind of maximize those accounts, right? Because I think for me, personally, here's what I love, here's what I don't love, here's what my thoughts are to kind of wrap it all up. I think at the end of the day, they're trying to maintain lots of prices, lots of discounts on the prices, the lots of accounts. They're trying to compete with standards. They're trying to kind of get a little bit more visible online with their professional trading, their live traders, and kind of start capturing some of that market, which is going to be interesting. They're doing the dang thing. For that, I'm grateful. Again, I have to give them a huge shout out to say they deployed, so something I've never seen any of the other companies do. They deployed 500 or 600 different people to say, hey, look, I want these people, okay, these partners, to have all of the information. So when this launches, you guys will be ready to answer questions. And I just love that because they treated us like partners, which is what business should be. So they get all the credit for that. But back to the changes. I think for me, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to hit this kind of, if I wanted to hit like $300,000 in each of these accounts or a couple $100,000 in each of these accounts. And here's why. This daily loss limit, okay? So that daily loss limit is going to be hard to hit. There's just no way around that. So as you guys know, with Apex, I like the 150K accounts. I love that it's a little bit cheaper. That's awesome for the activation fee. I love that the time frame for payouts is a little bit smaller. That's awesome too. I love that it's a little bit more on payout 2, 3, 4, and 5. That's awesome too. But this right here, this is going to be the biggest difference for me. Because remember, let's say you built up 6 figures in that account and you have that much in equity and you're only allowed to use 4K of that on the day. I know from an investment standpoint, it's pretty much using 2%, right? If you are trading it that way on a $200,000 account, like the account I have right now is $213,000 of, what they call it. I call it 63. But $213,000 means I would have $4,000, so approximately 2%, actually less than 2%, is how much I can use on the day. If I wanted to trade this like my live capital, I should be trading my live capital. And we talk about that quite often because, as you guys know, I've been focusing extensively on something like this, right? If I already have $50,000, okay, I should be able to kind of risk more on the account. And that is what I've been building this plan off of. And you guys have seen me show this for quite a while. My goal is to kind of get to, this 7-figure payout, right? And I know I can still do that by risking less with more accounts, but still kind of frustrating because I was planning on trading this like a prop and not trading it like personal capital. So at the end of the day, this is the biggest part for me. The prices are a little bit better. That's going to be great because of the PA fees. The 5 days is a little bit better. That's going to be great. The trailing drawdown is a little bit less. That's not super significant to me. I think it's a slight different percentage. That's not going to be the end of the world. But this right here is the part that's really going to get the most to me. So I think the bundle builds, which are going to be launching in a couple weeks, are great. I think the 5 days is going to be great. I think the limited of contracts is fine. I think most of the things that they just implemented are completely fine, right? I think that they're good. I think people are going to love them. I think it's going to ultimately make us a better trader. And that's what I said about Apex maybe 6 months ago. I kind of got over my own ego and I said, hey, look, I think Apex is going to make me a better trader. And that's what I just set out to do. Since then, I'm not going to fib. They have been one of my favorite prop firms just because once you get it, it's a completely different ballpark. You've got plenty of accounts. You've got bigger payouts. You've got 100% is how much you're withdrawing, which again, go withdraw $1,000 from 5 accounts and you're only getting 700 of that depending on the firm. It hits different, right? And it keeps hitting different because remember, you built up 3 or 4 grand, you technically got 700. It is just a different feeling. So I love the 100%. And I do think Apex ultimately at the end of the day is making me a better trader. But the thing I don't like, the biggest thing on this for me, okay, just sharing with you all of the rules, every single thing that you need to know. The thing that gets to me is the daily loss limit. I have been avoiding those accounts personally, just because I don't like closing that way if I can avoid it in the day. And I'd like to see myself and my behaviors avoid that, but we'll see. So that's every single thing that you need to know. Hopefully this video was helpful to you. If you have questions, comments, and most importantly, if you have thoughts, I would love to hear about them. Put them in the comments below. Please forgive this video. I'm recording it from my laptop in between a soccer tournament, but I had to get this out as soon as humanly possible to you guys. So as always, if you guys are buying any prop firms, use code 6FTC and help our channel grow. If you liked this content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And last but not least, if you're on this journey for prop firms, I am wishing you all the best. I'm telling you to stay the course. I think there is so much potential here. And yes, it is hard. It is very difficult to have months that look like this. 411,000, okay? Obviously, that's some degenerate behavior, which I'll talk more about on my monthly review when I show actual payout proof from how many payouts I got for this month. And that includes all of my personal bad behavior, traveling nonsense, rebuilding of it and messing up, and what I did to my psychology. So I'll talk more about all that. I just want you guys to know that it is very possible to make a full-time income with a very part-time schedule. It is not hard. It's just going to take a lot of discipline. It's not your strategy. It's not the next guru on YouTube. And that I am rooting for you as much as I hope you're rooting for me along this journey. So as always, thank you for watching. I wish you all the best of luck to kind of hopefully come in, get this next payout. Come get your next $5,000 payout if you're trading the 150K accounts. And of course your $3,000 payout if you're trading the 50K accounts. I hope you get to those next 6. I hope you hit that 6 and 7 figures. And if you like this content, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I will see you guys on the next one. Don't forget to be on the lookout for my February review where I show all of the payouts that we got, including receipt proofs from every single one of them and rise payments and everything in between.